What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am giving you a little sexy vibes because we're going to talk about how to choose the perfect wines for date night. If you know you got a date coming up, then definitely stay tuned and keep watching this video. It's Shayla Bernardo here, founder of Black Girls Wine and the Black Girls Wine Society. I'm really excited to be diving into the topic of how to choose the perfect wines for date night. Now, date night can be really challenging, right? Just from having to decide what look you're gonna wear, decide, and fellas, if you're watching this, you're trying to figure out how can you impress her. What are all the stops you're gonna pull out tonight to make sure it's a success? And choosing your wines does not have to be complicated at all. Here are a few tips, and we're gonna talk about whether or not the person already is a wine lover or if you're introducing them to the world of wine. Okay, so first things first, when you are picking out a wine for date night, you wanna start with considering what you're having for dinner. Now, when the person first arrives, your boo thing or your potential boo thing, you can already have a glass of champagne ready, okay? Champagne and sparkling wine serve as an aperitif. And an aperitif is your palate cleanser. It's your, warm up for the evening. So you can hand them a glass of champagne when they walk in. Maybe the food is simmering, you're still getting it prepared. And when you're thinking about what you're eating, you want to choose your wine well. The reason being because if you have a wine lover or somebody who's new to wine, choosing the wrong wine can go left very quickly. For one, you could choose a wine that isn't complimentary to the dish. You could choose a wine that just does too much with the dish. Or you could choose a wine that's just not usually in their wheelhouse, right? So, tip number one, think about what you're having for dinner. Here are some examples of classic pairings that you may want to consider. If you're having steak, Cabernet Sauvignon, or a nice, typically we go dry to medium dry on our steaks with our reds, right? So you can choose a Merlot, or you could choose sometimes you can do a good red blend as long as it's not one that leans too far towards the sweet spectrum. And those are typically the reds that go well with steaks, right? And then with your seafood, typically you can pair even a Pinot Noir with a salmon, okay? But my suggestion over everything, especially as we get into summer and lighter foods, and now you're talking about incorporating rosés and whites, which are common with seafood, do yourself a favor. Look it up on Pinterest or Google before you decide to serve it. And you'll find the little breakdowns on Pinterest and stuff that say here's some food pairing guidelines, or just kind of the basics, kind of like what I just gave you. So look it up, look and see what, and then if you're copying a recipe, look and see what the suggested wine pairings are, okay? Or if you are buying a wine, let's say you're starting with the wine and not the food. If you're starting with the wine and not the food, then look at what the winemaker says to pair it with. Look, winemakers make it very easy on us, okay? So before you get ready to even grab the wine, and some wines, they even include it on the back of the bottle. Literally, this is one of the easier decisions that you can make when preparing for date night. Okay, next up, if you're dealing with a wine lover, you may want to consider their palate, okay? This is the thing. Everybody's palate is not the same. One of my good wine friends, she loves Sauvignon Blanc, love. And I am not a huge, Sauvignon Blanc is not a wine that I gravitate towards. I don't remember the last time I've even bought one. So when it comes to choosing wines, you also want to consider the wine lover's palate. Now, it is possible to have two different wines that pair with the same meal, right? Just like I said, you can pair Pinot Noir with salmon, or and I'm saying Pinot Noir if it's a nice light Pinot Noir and it's heavy on the fruit, and if it is a Pinot Noir that's a little bit heavier, you may not want to go with that one. But we're dealing with salmon, so we got Pinot Noir for you. And let's say the person coming is a Sauvignon Blanc lover. You can choose a really nice medium body, light to medium body white wine that would pair perfectly with your salmon. And that way you have something for both of you. So remember, you're not limited on date night, so don't limit yourself. Get a couple bottles. That way everybody's palate will be pleased. Okay, so if you're dealing with a non-wine lover, which I don't even know where you find those people, but let's say you got a non-wine lover coming to the house, or maybe they just haven't had their palate exposed a lot. You don't necessarily have to start them off with sweet, okay? I know a lot of people think, oh, you know, they've never had it, so we'll get them a Moscato, or we'll start with something simple. You don't have to do that. You can introduce them to something else. If this new non-wine lover, if they are somebody who, let's say, enjoys brandy, you might be able to introduce them to a red wine that was aged in, I'm sorry, I was thinking bourbon. Let's say your non-wine lover likes bourbon. You may be able to introduce them to a red wine that was aged in bourbon barrels. That's going to give them a taste of something that they're familiar with, and also introduce their palate to something new. The chances of them liking it are much higher than somebody who isn't, let's say, maybe they don't consume alcohol that much at all, which I got questions. How are you getting through life? How is this happening? Just let me know in the comments if that's you. But that is, like, for example, a perfect pairing for somebody who's not a wine lover. So you still want to consider their palate. Nothing changes even if they're not a wine lover, because they for sure will fall in love with what we all know and love so well. All right, wine friends, last but not least, you can always just consider dessert. Maybe you guys are going to enjoy a nice sweet tea during dinner. You know, shout out to all my Southerners. Maybe you're going to enjoy, you know, a classic cocktail or something. You can always add your wine to the end of your meal as well. Pair it with something with your dessert. You can go with a port. You can go with, you know, a nice classic Moscato. You can go with a Muscat. So don't feel like you absolutely have to have wine with every single meal or on every single date. It's okay to switch it up sometimes and try a little something new. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more wine, lifestyle, and inspirational content, then make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss a video, and hit that subscribe button, sis. You're here, you love it here, just like us. Thanks for joining, and thanks for watching. Cheers.